and welcome to Ron Hasn't Seen. I'm Ron, and this channel is dedicated to following my journey as I try and watch a lot of those classic movies I probably should have watched a long time ago. And this week, I'm here to discuss Moulin Rouge. Normally, I'd have a guest on, but my guest couldn't make it for family reasons, so this week I'm just going to talk about the movie myself. Moulin Rouge came out May 18th in 2001, starring Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman as Christian and Satine, with co-stars John Leguizamo as the artist Toulouse-Lautrec, probably most famous for a lot of his illustrative work, and one of my favorites is Le Chat Noir. Probably mispronouncing a lot of the French in this. Forgive me, it's one of the languages I have the hardest problem pronouncing, even though been to Paris, Montreal tons of times. Just not good at reading it, not so great at pronouncing it. Jim Broadbent is Howard Zidler, and Richard Roxburgh is the Duke. That's our main cast for the movie. It was directed by Baz Luhrmann, written by Luhrmann and Craig Pearce. Did okay at the box office. $179 million worldwide on a $50 million budget. So for what it is, a romantic comedy musical, did pretty well. It is based off the real Moulin Rouge in Paris, which I have visited, didn't go into the show. The venue still exists. Tickets start at about €100 right now, from what I could tell. It's the birth of the can. It's been around since 1889 and was founded by a man, Charles Littler, who Broadbent's character is based off of, but that character would have been dead by the time this movie was set. There's a lot of real elements and a lot of made-up elements. Like the elephant that Satine lives in did exist. It was kind of more like an opium den when the Moulin Rouge was the Jardin de Paris. And there were also other elephant brothels, like in Coney Island around the turn of the century. There was a large elephant structure that housed a brothel there. And so there's a lot of the real elements of what it was. The Moulin Rouge did close for a redecorating period right around this time, maybe a couple years later than the movie set, but a lot of those elements were true. Now, the film itself is a romantic musical. It's a jukebox musical with a lot of mashups, kind of pop songs to it. And that's kind of why I haven't seen the movie before. Why I like musicals, I really don't tend to like the jukebox ones. I like more original content. I've never been a big fan of Glee, and this kind of has a lot of the same style of music to me as Glee. The music's well done. Fits very well, like Roxanne and the Elephant Love Medley, which features like songs by Kiss, Elton John, Wings, The Beatles, Joe Cocker, U2, and there's more in there. So the music's good, it's just not my style. And that's kind of where I'm coming at this whole movie from. I think it's a good movie. It's not a movie for me. So I'm not going to go out and say you have to see this. If you haven't, you have to make a choice if it's a movie that you would like. And I enjoyed watching it, but I'm not going to say I like the movie overall. The love story is very simple. Christian is a kind of an English aristocrat that comes to Paris to experience the bohemian lifestyle, which is true to the time. The Paris Exposition and the Montmartre, once again if I'm mispronouncing, area of Paris attracted a lot of these people, and that's what the Moulin Rouge was for the bourgeoisie and the aristocrats to experience that bohemian lifestyle that this area of Paris was known for. And that's what Christian's here to do as a writer. He wants to experience that. He falls in with some of his building apartment mates who are a bohemian group led by Toulouse, trying to put on a new play, The Spectacular Spectacular, which they really don't have anything. They're just kind of making it up as they go. When they find out Christian's a writer and he's throwing out song lyrics, which are unique to them, they bring him in as part of the group, and they try to introduce him to Zidler through Satine to get their play made. There is a whole comedy of errors scene where Satine thinks Christian is the Duke, who is supposed to be investing in the Moulin Rouge. And that was a really funny scene, but it falls into like pure farce. And then the story goes on about how they're putting on the play with a love triangle between the Duke, Satine, and Christian being reflected in the play, and the struggles between what Satine needs to do and to get the money, and if she's really falling for Christian. And that's basically the plot. But one of the things that at the beginning we know is Satine's going to die. That's kind of at the beginning of the narration. She dies of consumption, which is tuberculosis, which basically means almost every other character in this movie is going to die of tuberculosis soon after, the way the close contact worked. In real life, Toulouse would die about a year or so after this movie was set. I don't know if it was from tuberculosis. I don't remember a lot of the other parts of his character. Him working at the Moulin Rouge, working with the Moulin Rouge, trying to experience that, really bring forward that lifestyle. That's all true. His limb issues that caused him to be shorter, that's another true part of his life. So once again, that I like those elements, but I just think the story was too simple. I think the movie is absolutely gorgeously shot and art directed, with Donald McAlpine doing the cinematography, and he's worked with Baz Luhrmann before on Romeo and Juliet, and other famous movies he would have done would be Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Mrs. Doubtfire, and many, many others. And the production design was done by Luhrmann and Catherine Martin. Once again, very gorgeous. I love the contrast between the bleak outside world of Paris and when you're inside the Moulin Rouge. It's bright and colorful. It's just really pretty. But that's really where I think the strength of this movie lies, not in its story. And I'm a story person. I mean, I like good characters. I like beautifully shot movies. I like beautifully designed movies. But I don't think they can carry this week of a story on their own. And add into that the musical aspect with pop songs coming in. Like, the movie was famous for Lady Marmalade, and that appears for just mere seconds in the movie, which was a real surprise to me, actually. There is this whole mashup number when they're introducing the Moulin Rouge, which really focuses on lines from Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, kind of stripped of all irony of the here we are now, entertain us. And I like to think Luhrmann was doing that on purpose, stripping it of the irony. I think he has enough of an art style from his other films and his understanding of music and that kind of thing that he knew what he was doing there, because it really does come in to that with the bourgeoisie kind of just trying to force themselves into this bohemian culture, and I think that works. I think Roxanne was a perfect metaphor song, even if I didn't really love the tango style of it. It fits, Satine's a courtesan, so it really fits Christian's point of view of trying to save her from this lifestyle or whatever he wanted to do. That was there. And I think everything works, and I think it worked well. I just don't think it worked for me. And that's really what I want. So one of the things I really want to put forward when I'm doing this channel is I could say something's good and still not like it, and I'm willing to admit that. I also think when I'm going to say something's bad, I think there's very few redeeming qualities of something, and this is a far from a bad movie. I think it really does have its audience. I think it has a really big following. Um, right now, there's a musical traveling around that's based off it that I know tested, just a few years ago, right before the pandemic started in the Boston area, and everybody I know who's seen the show really enjoys it. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. I, after seeing the movie, maybe now I would. I didn't want to go when it first came out because I hadn't seen the movie, and I probably had a more negative opinion of the movie than I did now. But that's really it. I mean, I'm not. I can't really go that into depth with it without having someone here to discuss it, but because it's just not for me. I don't hate romance movies. I don't hate musicals. I just want a little more story to them, and I think both of those genres tend to go to a weaker story. I appreciate. I mean, it is a star-crossed lovers. It's not Romeo and Juliet, but I appreciate, like, unlike a lot of modern romances, it's not just Pride and Prejudice, like, slapped into a farm situation or a modern London situation. And I think that's a fallback for a lot of romance movies. And I get the point of the romance movies is they're comforting, and so this less of those less surprising stories fit there, and that's just not what I like out of a movie. So I would actually say it's, as I said, it's actually a pretty good movie, especially from an artistic standpoint. I just don't think I'm going to watch it again. Because it's a little shorter. I also happened to watch a newer movie this week, 2022's Smile. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna just talk briefly about it, just because it's something new I haven't seen before. I do tend to like horror movies. I tend to like these kind of more supernatural mystery horror movies. But this one, once again, just I think it felt a little weaker, and I think it felt like it was cribbing too much from something like It Follows or The Ring, and it kind of combined those two into a story that was formulaic, if entertaining enough for the time. Um, but there are some sequences that are supposed to be like over the top uh, disturbing, but I think they go so over the top and go on for so long that they become almost like a Monty Python sketch, just where it becomes so funny. Where I'm not going to really get into the spoilers. I'm not going to discuss new movies in that much detail. If something I'm reviewing on this channel, most of it's going to be at least 5 years old or something like that. So at that point, I'm going to talk about spoilers. But for something new like this, just going to avoid as much as possible. But if you like the horror genre, you've probably already seen this, but the trailers just look so creepy and so atmospheric, and the movie didn't follow through on that. There are some good creepy scenes, but I don't know if it like really, as I said, the It Follows plot of some sort of supernatural entity moving from person to person, and then they have a ring type deadline to solve. That's where the movie was, and that's all it was something between those. It tried to, talk about like personal trauma that could bring this on, but I think that got lost. The metaphor was not just a metaphor, it was very in your face. But I think they didn't discuss how it was affecting different things and how it was affecting our main character. So that's those are what I'm going to discuss this week. If you want to follow along as I watch more movies, please like, subscribe below. My next video should be out not too long after this, is going to be about the Kung Fu classic Enter the Dragon. So thank you for watching Ron Hasn't Seen. I'm Ron, and I will see you on the next video.